Hey guys, we got 2 weeks left to go, so we're gonna finish up with Japan here today, and then also we're gonna go over North and South Korea today. So it'll be a bit longer than some of the ones that we've done in the past, but shouldn't be too bad. All right, so finishing up with Japan. Since World War II, Japan has developed a democratic government and is one of the world's strongest economies. Still face quite a few challenges that we'll get into here today. Japan's government since World War II. Once an imperial state, Japan has a successful democracy today. They are technically headed by an emperor, but he has very little power. It's basically just a symbol of Japan. Power rests with the elected legislature, prime minister, and their national diet. They make the laws and govern life. They have one of the world's strongest economies, successes in manufacturing. A lot of companies that you guys have heard of before from Japan. For example, Toyota is one. Their government works with business leaders to control production and plan for the future. Their workforces are very well educated, highly trained workers, allow the companies to be very efficient. Japan depends on trade, just like a lot of other countries, and they're so successful that Japan has actually built up a huge trade surplus. So many Japanese countries are very wealthy. You can see their exports actually being higher than their imports, which we've talked about being a very positive thing for any country. Tokyo is their capital, very populated, so land is scarce. Cities are filled with tall, modern skyscrapers, underground subways, and stores to fit in small areas. Uh, Tokyo real estate prices are actually among the highest in the world due to how scarce the land is. Some citizens do live in the country where life is more traditional, farming, for example, but many of those rural families are actually moving to cities to find work. There you can see some examples of overcrowding, and that's the big issue: lack of space. Also, the tall skyscrapers and earthquakes really aren't a very good mix. Competition threatens Japan's economy. In the past 2 years, their surplus has declined a little bit, and pollution is also a big issue, just like really everywhere else across the world. Moving on to North and South Korea. We'll start with North Korea, but we'll get into the history as well. So, the mountainous peninsula of Korea has a vast history. Though they share a pretty common culture, life is very different in North and South Korea. I think you guys already know that. So, physical features of Korea. The Korean peninsula includes North Korea, South Korea, and it's just south from the Asian mainland, so you can see a map of that below. The highest mountains are in the north, larger plains are in the south. There are very few mineral resources in the south, but North Korea has large deposits of coal, iron, and other things of that nature. They speak Korean, which is written with an alphabet. Religion-wise, Buddhism and Confucianism are the two main ones. One-fourth of South Koreans are Christians today. In North Korea, religion is largely discouraged. Communism is practiced. Kimchi is a very popular national dish. North Korea is trying to maintain traditional customs, and they believe that they are the best culture in the world. Both Koreas are influenced by China. Korea remained independent but was considered a part of China's empire. The Japanese invaded the Korean peninsula, and the Korean people very much resented the Japanese for this. When Japan lost World War II, Korea was taken away from Japan and was made independent again. Rather than forming one independent country, they formed two. So the North Koreans were aided by the Soviet Union, who were communists, and the South was aided by the United States, which obviously we know favors democracy. In 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, beginning the Korean War. Reason being they wanted all of Korea to be communist. The U.S. helped South Korea, forced the communists back into the North. It was a very costly war for both sides. As we know, they're still split today. North Korea is technically called Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's very misleading since it is a totalitarian state. The Communist Party controls the government and the economy. So it was created soon after World War II with Kim Son as dictator, and obviously Kim Jong-un is their leader today. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. They have a command economy, which just means that everything is controlled by the government. rich in mineral resources, creates machinery and military supplies. They have a lot less wealth than South Korea. Very mountainous, so little farmland, and it's also difficult to import food. So obviously that's going to cause problems with scarcity. Uh, Most people live in the cities where there are jobs. They greatly restrict human rights. They don't have freedom of speech or the press. Only communist officials can own cars. Religions conflict with communist ideas, so people aren't allowed to practice religion. If you live in North Korea, you speak out against the government, typically not good things are going to happen. Um, because non-communist countries disagree with these rights, North Korea has become very isolated. So countries won't trade with them, or they won't share technological advances with them, and many North Koreans suffer. One thing that you've noticed lately, Trump has tried to kind of amend these relationships a little bit, and the reason being is because of the worry of nuclear weapons. So many countries worry about their ability to make and use nuclear weapons. On October 9th, 2006, North Korea announced that it had conducted its first nuclear test, and it was successful. In 2007, they further confirmed that they had nuclear weapons. And on February 11th, 2013, a geological survey detected a magnitude 5.1 seismic disturbance, which was reported to be an underground nuclear test. Moving on to South Korea, they have free and economic opportunities, so much different than North Korea. After World War II, the U.S. Helped make South Korea a democratic country with a strong economy. They have a republic headed by a president and an assembly elected by the people. So businesses and the government work together to ensure that they have a strong economy. In recent years, South Korea has become a major manufacturing country, exporting goods to places all around the world. So they have been very successful. Like Japan, South Korea is densely populated. Uh, Most people live on the coast. The interior is very mountainous. Housing in cities is very expensive for very small apartments. So once again, it's kind of like that lack of land contributes to them being more expensive. Um, Once again, some people live in rural areas and follow a more traditional way of life. Some issues and challenges. Although they have a very successful economy, some people feel that their government is corrupt. The reason being is for many years, four families have controlled much of the industry. So wealth is concentrated into the hands of those big businesses, and this led to some corruption of a government official. Efforts are being made to reform business practices to where they're more, I would say, just done in a proper manner. The biggest challenge, though, is its relationship with North Korea. Since World War II, the countries have actually been separated by a demilitarized zone where your guards actually control and patrol both sides. So you can see that in the photos below. But it's obviously the biggest challenge for them. And your exit slip for today is, what is the biggest challenge for South Korea? So as you were listening along, obviously should be a pretty easy exit slip for today. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you're staying safe. As always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay? Hopefully get to see you guys very soon.